I wasn't paying attention. I don't know where the recording cut off. But the timing on the valve cam was off by a tooth, so I had to pull it apart, move it one tooth to make sure that as we go around here. Alright, so the right way around is this way. Okay, so that's the power stroke and bottom dead center. That's right when the exhaust valve starts to lift. And then intake. And I'm going to put the spark plug in and see about whether there's any compression. So that'll tell me if I have to do anything with the valves after putting them back in the head. Alright. Oh yeah. Yep, there is definitely compression. Intake. Perfect. I'm going to pop the spark plug back out. Alright. Okay. Let's see. That's all. Just want to check and make sure I can get this cover on. Oh. There. If I drop the screw in first and then slip it in there, there's definitely no clearance for that. Alright, I'm going to leave that valve cover, gear cover off there so that first time I run it I can oil in there really good before I put that cover on. Alright, I guess it's probably time to put this on the base. See about getting the ignition in place. So the base goes like that, and the sensor goes through this hole, and then the wires go there. So I have to take the ignition in here, drop the sensor through that hole, make sure that the ground wire doesn't get tangled in there. And then the ground wire gets attached on that hole on the bottom of the engine. So 4 screws. And the wood for these boxes is a very soft wood, so you're going to have to tighten everything pretty well, but also if you just keep cranking, it's going to compress the wood, and then the wood is going to fatigue and loosen up. While I'm here, we'll put the switch in place. So, actually, also going to get the ground wire in. That is one of these tiny round head cap screws. Get that started and tightened there. Set the ignition in place, put the wire, the spark plug wire through that hole, and then the switch here, let's see, on is to the short side of the mounting spot. There's mounting spot is here, so there's a long side and a short side from the switch. On is the short side on all my other engines, so I'll do that to make sure it's the same. And the way switches work is the lever's over here, and when you flip it, it flips over and connects those, so the lever that way is on. Stick that through. Try to, there. So there's a very tiny key and a very tiny slot in the side of that switch. So that needs to line up even if it doesn't fit particularly well. And these big flat nuts for switches are always very challenging to get started. There. It's just finger tight right now, but I'm going to have to remember to grab a big pair of pliers so I can, probably a needle nose so I can tighten that up. Anyhow. Now we need to mount the sensor. I don't know how well that can be seen. There. the two holes, the sensor. It does have a little room to slide, so to figure out which way to do that. And I think because I can balance the screw on here, I'm going to hold this sideways. There. Balance the screw on there. Just turn this. Wow, I got both of those on like the first try. That is pretty incredible, I might say. I am usually not that lucky. Just tighten those down. I'm looking in there because there's the slots on and trying to decide where that, how much movement I can get out of the slots on that. Well, you can see the sensor can move about that far back and forth. I'm going to center it because it appears that centered is also lined up even with the back of the frame here. So I'm just going to tighten that up, and I think this is back together. I am gonna grab batteries and put a battery pack together. Look and see if I'm still recording. Oh good, there's plenty of time left. I got cut off because I hit maximum record time on my old camera here. Although to be fair, if I notice that the camera shuts off, it makes me check that I've been, paying attention to what time it is and thinking about, whether I should eat or something, because especially Saturday mornings when I just sort of go out to the garage to play, if I don't do something, I get real focused and ignore valuable things like eating and drinking. Okay. We have batteries, we have a plug. There's the snap. And you can see that the snap was here when the crank is lined up with the front of the bearing caps. So, and our flywheel is actually pretty square across there, so if we move it to top dead center, that's pretty advanced, because from there, where it's even, that's 15 or so degrees. But we have okay. know what we can do. Remember, we put this sensor in place, and I didn't know where to slide it. Well, I'm going to just slide it back so that it advances the timing from 15 degrees closer to 5 or 10 degrees ahead of top dead center. There we go. Alright. Ignition on. Right. Am I turning this the right way? Okay. Turn the right way. I was turning it the wrong way the other time too, but that's still, it just sparked. Let's see, make sure we're turning it the right way and see where, this is where it sparked, and this is where it sparked, and that's top dead center. So there, we're back at like 5 degrees advanced timing, so cool. I think maybe this is put together enough that it will run on Saturday. We will find out. The only thing left is going to be to screw the carburetor and the fuel tank. That's the words. So, now this fuel tank bracket probably would have been easier to put on when I had just the engine base sitting around, but I didn't want it in the way while I was trying to do other stuff, so put it in place. And this fuel tank bracket is a major improvement over the ET1, because the ET1, the fuel tank bracket is actually screwed to the side of the wood box here, and mine hasn't broken off yet, but I certainly like picture it getting broken off. Especially when you're trying to get the fuel line off, because it's good to take the fuel line off. To make sure that no fuel stays in it. There. Oh. Let's see. I can see from the dent in the fuel tank that it was mounted like this the first time, and if I do this, it's definitely going to interfere with the carburetor. So I should have checked that before I put the bracket in place. Easy enough. Bracket out. Tank through the hole, set screw out of the way. Bracket in place. And then turn that so it is. The fuel fill is vertical rather. And tighten the little set screw on the bottom here. Keep the tank in place. else I forgot to put on the head while I was putting it together? The muffler, and the muffler certainly isn't going to spin in place there, so. Time to pop the head off. Alright, I tighten that with the other thing. Remember to pull the push rods before I pop the head off, that way they don't go flying. Alright. Actually, leave that one in a little bit so that the head is hanging here, and then I can pull all the other screws out and then pop that last top one out. Alright. Muffler. Right, yeah, muffler. Spark plug wire out of the way. There we go. Now everything's in order. Able to throw the carburetor back on there, well, the mixer, needle valve, what have you. I always thought carburetors had a bowl or other means of regulating fuel levels to the needle so that they don't change the adjustment as much. But like a lot of terminology, it all depends on who you ask what it's called. Alright, those are as tight as they'll go like that. So, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. All right. There we go. And just oh. Slide the fuel tank back out of the way. Alright. Make that more or less level. Check the fuel tanks more or less level. Put the set screw back in place. Push rods. All right. Push rods in place. So we'll just pop the spark plug in on Saturday when we're ready to go, and I think the ET8 is going to be ready to run on Saturday. We'll see.